Hey everyone, Priest Beast here. I don't like the sound of my own voice on video, so I'm using a text-to-voice AI generator for this series. It's funny because the name of this voice in particular is named Chris, but it's clearly Theo Von's voice, so I just want to point out that this isn't the real Theo Von speaking. If you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with Escape from Tarkov or have at least heard of it. With that in mind, I'm not going to go too deep into the details of EFT itself. What I want to focus on for this series is a mod I discovered a few months back called Traveler. At this point, some of you might also be saying, why are you talking about this again? It's the same format as your last video. Well, I became very busy with life after creating my first video, so I didn't have the time. Also, there were some major updates to Escape from Tarkov, including the map Ground Zero and some amazing recoil changes. When that was added to SPT, it broke a lot of the mods, including Traveler. The community then had to wait for modders to update their add-ons to work with the current version of SPT. When I went to update the Traveler mod, I noticed that the creator had decided to stop all updates on Traveler and focus on other things. No biggie, you do what you've got to do. But I was sad to learn that I'd never be able to play Traveler again. 2 weeks went by and I stumbled across this post on Reddit. The mad lad at Electronic 2630 himself was able to patch the Traveler mod, making it playable with the current SPT build. There's obviously some bugs and glitches in its current state, but I didn't care. Another reason why I'm redoing this video is because I realized I had left out a lot of essential information about Traveler that I had discovered only after releasing my first video. I'll be covering all that in a little bit. So for the remainder of this video, just consider it a revamped version of my previous one. Well, what is Traveler? Traveler is a mod that makes Escape from Tarkov a more open world experience for the player. To achieve this, the mod locks all the raid locations and forces you to start on customs. What this does is then forces the player to use specific extracts to make their way around the region of Tarkov. For example, if you'd like to go into a raid at Interchange, you'll have to spawn into customs and extract at Railroad to Tarkov. Once you do, the next time you select a raid, you'll have the choice to spawn in at either Railroad to Tarkov extract on customs or Railway extract on Interchange. Also included with the mod is a map of Tarkov with all the extracts and all the places they lead to throughout the region. Green lines are extracts that can be used to go back and forth between places. Red lines are one-way extracts that once used, you can't go back to the previous level you came from. And finally, orange lines are simply connector extracts. You also won't have regular access to traders with this mod. Each trader is located at specific extracts throughout the region of Tarkov, and if you want to purchase something from them or start a specific task, you have to travel to where they are within the area. Prapers at customs, ragmans at interchange, mechanics on streets, skiers at shoreline, jaggers at woods, and peacekeepers at reserve. Therapist is located at Warehouse 17 on customs. It should also be noted that Warehouse 17 is considered your home and will be your spawn location on your first raid or whenever you die. Lastly, Fence is the only trader that can be interacted with at any extract to simply sell off any loot, gear, and junk you found in the previous raid. With that all being said, extracts that have traders in them are considered checkpoints. Each checkpoint has a normal size stash, while other extracts have a smaller size stash simply for selling purposes. Anything left in a small stash will disappear upon entering the next raid, so make sure to grab everything from it. Items left in checkpoint stashes will remain there. This is because each checkpoint has its own unique stash as well as its own unique hideout. That means you'll have multiple hideouts to manage with the ability to produce multiple items. Now remember how I said when you die, you always respawn back at Warehouse 17? Well, Therapist sells a special item called Marked Letter. The letter allows you to respawn at the last checkpoint you visited should you die. Minus your gear and loot, of course, so make sure you have plenty of meds, weapons, ammo, and food stored at each checkpoint. Two last things I want to mention. Every item you extract with obtains the Found in Raid status, even if you entered the raid with it. This allows the player to carry items from one level to another for quest items that require Found in Raid status. And also, the flea market is available at level 10 and can be used at any checkpoint except your home. With that, let's get into the series and try to beat Tarkov with the Traveler mod. I wiped my profile and created my character. Upon selecting my first task from Therapist, I realized they were for tasks at the map Ground Zero. As far as I could tell, the Traveler mod currently only supports the older maps and not Ground Zero just yet. To remedy this problem, I simply loaded up SPT Profile Editor and changed the starting tasks to already completed. I'll be doing this for the remainder of the Ground Zero quests, until they come out with a fix. In terms of additional mods, for bots I'm using Waypoints, Big Brain, Sane Bots, Looting Bots, No Bush ESP, and Better Spawn Plus to make them more realistic. And for quality of life add-ons, I'm using more checkmarks to see which items and loot are used for which hideout upgrades. A heads-up display compass because Traveler adds a lot of extractions into each raid. And finally, item info, which allows me to see the rarity of each item in Tarkov. Now we finally get to play. I loaded into my first match, ready to go balls deep. And within seconds, I realized I had forgotten to pick up my first quest from Therapist. After picking it up from her, I went back into Raid with the intention to loot Crack House for its notorious med spawn locations, and then to make my way to Praper to pick up his debut task. Once inside, I found my first Sally Wah along with a CMS kit. After finding some other loot, I found my second Sally Wah upstairs. I head back outside to check out the technical supply box, but as I'm looting, some asshole tries to sneak up on me. I loot his body, take his armor for later to give to Skier, and head back to extract. After dropping everything off, I head into my hideout to upgrade my vents and also my rest space. Now it's time to head to Praper. I decide to go straight there and look for my last Sally Wah along my way back. While passing gas station, I hear a scav inside causing a ruckus. I deal with him, but quickly realize he isn't alone. I take care of his buddy and begin to loot the initial scav, when suddenly out of nowhere, this guy shows up. I resist the temptation and head to Praper. I safely make it out and stash some gear just in case I ever need it. I also upgrade the vents for Praper's hideout. I pick up his task and realize that Fence is selling a Sally Wah. I decide to just buy it instead of having to look for it in Raid. Then I head back out. I make my way to this little warehouse and pick up some loot. While on my way back to Warehouse 17, things start popping off at old gas stations, so I decided to go the other way around. Didn't want to run into the goons in case they had spawned in. I climb into Warehouse 4 and get spooked by this jerk-off. I take his backpack and head back out. I stumble into a war zone and have to run for cover and heal up. I make it safely back to Warehouse 17. I drop off my loot and turn in Therapist's first task. I insure my gear and decide to head to Interchange so I can make my way to Streets to pick up Mechanic's first task. I extract without a problem and immediately load into Interchange. I decided to make a stop at Ragman for no particular reason, but then also decided to go into the shopping mall to get some supplies for Ragman's hideout. I hear a big fight going on outside, so I decided to join in, which would ultimately be a grave mistake. Well, there's my first death and the end of the newest video in this series. I'm going to try my best to make this a weekly thing, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you have any video editing tips or Adobe Premiere Pro ideas, shoot them my way. Just one last reminder, this isn't the real Theo Von speaking, but an AI text-to-voice generator. Thanks for watching, guys, and have an awesome day. Happy traveling.